The Middle East, a region steeped in history and strategic importance, is currently defined by a complex and volatile rivalry. This isn't just a simple disagreement, it's a deep-seated conflict that shapes the geopolitical landscape of the entire area, influencing global politics and security. At the heart of this tension lies the ongoing struggle between two powerful nations, Iran and Israel. These countries represent vastly different ideologies, ambitions, and visions for the future of the region. Israel, founded in 1948 in the aftermath of World War II and the Holocaust, is a technological and military powerhouse, a nation that has consistently punched above its weight on the world stage. It's a democracy, albeit one constantly shaped and defined by the ever-present security challenges it faces in a turbulent neighborhood. Israel also possesses a deep historical and religious connection to its land, a bond that fuels its national identity and aspirations. Iran, on the other hand, is the proud heir to the Persian Empire, one of history's most influential and enduring civilizations. It's a vast nation with a rich and complex cultural heritage, a legacy that stretches back millennia and continues to shape its identity. Today, Iran is governed by a theocracy, a system of rule based on religious law and principles. This theocracy fuses ancient tradition with a potent revolutionary ideology, creating a unique and often unpredictable political force. The geographical distance between Tehran and Tel Aviv is just over 1,000 miles, a relatively short distance in our interconnected world. However, their political and ideological divide is immense, a chasm that seems to widen with each passing year. Their rivalry is not simply about borders or territorial disputes, although those certainly exist in the region. It's about something far more fundamental: influence, ideology, and ultimately survival in a dangerous and unpredictable world. This struggle plays out through proxies, with both nations supporting various groups and factions across the Middle East. It also manifests in the form of cyber attacks, a modern battleground where digital weapons are deployed with increasing frequency. And it's waged through intelligence operations, with covert activities and espionage playing a constant role across the region. This ongoing struggle has redrawn alliances and fueled instability, creating a volatile and unpredictable environment. All of this makes it one of the most dangerous and consequential geopolitical contests of our time, with the potential to trigger wider conflicts and international crises. Yet, it's crucial to remember that the relationship between Iran and Israel was not always defined by such hostility. For several decades, in fact, they were quiet partners, working together behind the scenes on various issues. They were united by shared strategic interests, particularly in countering common threats in the region. This often forgotten history is absolutely key to understanding the complexities of the present situation. It helps us understand how today's deep-seated animosity emerged from a past of cooperation and shared goals. The journey from alliance to antagonism is a stark reminder of how quickly international relations can transform. It reveals how revolutions in ideology can dramatically reshape national interests and foreign policies. And it demonstrates how easily potential friends can be turned into sworn enemies with devastating consequences for regional stability. Therefore, to truly grasp the significance of today's headlines and the ongoing tensions in the Middle East, we must look back at how it all began, tracing the complex and often surprising history of Iran-Israel relations. Before 1979, a very different landscape existed in the Middle East, particularly concerning the relationship between Iran and Israel. Iran and Israel were, perhaps surprisingly to many today, unlikely but very real partners. Under the Shah, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, Iran was a secular monarchy, a stark contrast to the Islamic Republic it would later become. It was also a key Western ally, deeply intertwined with the United States and other Western powers. Iran viewed Israel as a fellow non-Arab pro-Western state in a region often perceived as hostile and unstable. This shared perspective fostered a sense of common interest. Their cooperation was pragmatic, driven by mutual needs and strategic calculations. This included intelligence sharing, with both nations exchanging vital information on regional threats and developments. Military technology also played a crucial role, with transfers and joint development projects strengthening both countries' defense capabilities. And vital oil shipments flowed steadily between them, a critical economic lifeline for Israel. Furthermore, Israeli advisors helped train and modernize Iran's security forces, enhancing their effectiveness. Reciprocally, Iranian oil fueled Israel's rapidly growing economy, providing a stable and reliable energy source. Beyond security and energy, Israeli firms actively contributed to Iran's ambitious modernization plans. They were instrumental in building essential infrastructure and introducing advanced agricultural techniques to boost Iran's food production. This alliance was largely discreet, conducted behind closed doors. This was to balance the mutual benefits against the sensitivities of Iran's large Muslim population and the broader dynamics of the Islamic world. For Israel, Iran was a crucial cornerstone of its periphery doctrine, a key element of its foreign policy. This doctrine sought to forge alliances with non-Arab states in the region as a way to counter the prevailing Arab hostility. Iran, alongside nations like Turkey and Ethiopia, played a vital role in this strategy. These alliances provided Israel with much-needed strategic depth, access to vital resources, and enhanced diplomatic leverage. This era of cooperation stands in stark and almost unbelievable contrast to the situation we see today. It serves as a powerful reminder of how dramatically and quickly alliances can shift in the complex world of geopolitics. The year 1979 stands as a pivotal moment in modern history, a year that dramatically reshaped the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East and beyond. The Iranian Revolution of 1979 was a seismic shift, a cataclysmic event that reverberated across the region and the world. It marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new, uncertain chapter. The Shah's pro-Western monarchy, once a cornerstone of American foreign policy in the Middle East, was swiftly and decisively replaced by Ayatollah Khomeini's Islamic Republic, a theocratic state founded on principles diametrically opposed to those of its predecessor. The new regime, under Khomeini's leadership, viewed the U.S. as the Great Satan, the ultimate symbol of Western decadence and imperialistic ambition. And it didn't stop there. Israel, a longtime ally of the Shah's regime, was now cast as the Little Satan, an illegitimate entity occupying Muslim lands. In a dramatic break with the past, all diplomatic and economic ties with Israel were severed immediately. In a symbolic gesture of solidarity with the Palestinian people, the Israeli embassy in Tehran was handed over to the Palestine Liberation Organization, or PLO. From that moment forward, unwavering support for the Palestinian cause and vehement opposition to Zionism, the movement for Jewish self-determination became deeply ingrained religious and revolutionary imperatives, central tenets of the Islamic Republic's ideology. Israel was now openly and repeatedly demonized, portrayed as a cancerous tumor that needed to be eradicated from the body of the Islamic world. It was no longer viewed as a potential partner, but as an implacable enemy. The periphery doctrine, Israel's strategy of building alliances with non-Arab states in the region, collapsed almost overnight, leaving Israel increasingly isolated. Furthermore, Iran began actively supporting and funding militant groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon, extending its influence far beyond its own borders. What had once been envisioned as a buffer state, a stabilizing force in a volatile region, rapidly transformed into a primary and increasingly dangerous threat to Israel's very existence. This dramatic shift fundamentally altered Israel's security calculations, forcing a complete reassessment of its strategic priorities. Decades of economic, military, and intelligence cooperation between the two countries abruptly vanished, replaced by a climate of deep mistrust, suspicion, and outright hostility. For the new Iranian regime, any form of association with Israel was now considered an act of betrayal against Islam and the Palestinian people. Conversely, for Israel, revolutionary Iran, with its fiery rhetoric and its support for anti-Israeli militant groups, quickly became perceived as an existential threat. The tumultuous events of 1979, therefore, irrevocably set the stage for decades of intense shadow warfare, proxy conflicts, and escalating nuclear brinkmanship that continue to define the relationship between Iran and Israel to this very day. The Iran-Israel conflict is driven by political rivalry, religious ideology, and military competition. Iran seeks regional dominance through its axis of resistance, clashing with Israel's goal to prevent encirclement and maintain military superiority. Religious narratives fuel the conflict. Iran frames opposition to Israel as a sacred duty, while some Israelis see their presence as a biblical promise fulfilled. Unable to fight directly, both sides wage shadow wars, supporting proxies, launching cyber attacks, and conducting assassinations. Intelligence agencies like Mossad and the IRGC are locked in a constant struggle. Each move triggers retaliation, creating a cycle of escalation. This interplay ensures the conflict remains volatile and ever-present. Two flashpoints define the modern conflict: Iran's nuclear program and proxy wars. Israel sees a nuclear-armed Iran as an existential threat and has sabotaged Iran's nuclear facilities and targeted its scientists. Iran insists its nuclear program is peaceful, viewing it as a deterrent against Israeli and American aggression. Diplomatic efforts like the JCPOA are fragile, undermined by deep mistrust. Iran's network of proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, and others, challenges Israel without direct confrontation. Israel responds with airstrikes and covert operations to disrupt Iranian influence, especially in Syria. This shadow war is constant and deadly, with every action risking escalation. The struggle is less visible than open war, but just as dangerous. To understand the conflict, we must see through both lenses. Israelis, shaped by the trauma of the Holocaust and surrounded by hostile neighbors, view Iran's actions as a coordinated campaign for their destruction. Preemptive strikes and alliances with the US are seen as essential for survival. For Iranians, the narrative is one of resistance against foreign domination and Western interference. Israel is viewed as an extension of American power, threatening Iran's sovereignty. Supporting groups like Hezbollah is framed as legitimate resistance, not aggression. Iran's nuclear ambitions are seen as a necessary deterrent against a nuclear-armed adversary. Both sides see their actions as defensive, rooted in history and existential fear. The path to peace is daunting, but not impossible. De-escalation requires leaders willing to move beyond existential threats and acknowledge each other's security concerns. Resolving the nuclear issue is critical. Ironclad assurances for Israel, sanctions relief, and peaceful nuclear rights for Iran. A revived JCPOA or new regional security pact could provide a framework, but trust and verification are essential. Addressing proxy wars is equally vital. Iran would need to scale back support for groups like Hezbollah, while Israel would reduce military actions in neighboring states. Regional dialogue, possibly mediated by neutral parties, could help prevent miscalculations. Internal change in Iran, toward pragmatism and economic focus, could reduce confrontation. Peace will take time, courage, and diplomacy, but a more stable Middle East is possible.